Hello everybody, Dark Skeleton here, and in this video we're going to be reviewing 3 more Whispers of the Old God cards, and in my opinion the cards today are actually pretty interesting. So, first up, the Cabalist's Tome, a 5-mana mage spell. Add 3 random mage spells to your hand. I like this card's effect a lot. If you compare it to Nourish, instead of drawing 3 guaranteed cards from your constructed deck, they're random, but the advantage of adding cards to your hand over drawing them from your deck is that it's not going to bring you closer to fatigue. So a card like this probably fits best into control or Reno style mage decks. So playing around that fatigue game, being able to give yourself more firepower without drawing through your deck can actually be pretty good in many circumstances. But I don't even think it's that bad for tempo mage or something along those lines either. Because 3 spells is a lot of extra firepower to finish the game, and mage spells are pretty good in general currently. I mean, they might add a lot of bad ones, but I kind of doubt it. And you can also combo it with Flame Waker, with Sorcerer's Apprentice, get a little bit of extra value just off of playing this card. I mean, a 4-mana Cabalist Tome from Sorcerer's Apprentice is pretty crazy, in my opinion. So overall, it's just a pretty strong mage card. May make its way into a lot of decks, may only be more of a control style thing, but me personally, I will definitely be trying to run this card. I've always been a big fan of Ethereal Conjurer, discover a mage spell with a minion, but I think this could go pretty well alongside that. Which card is better, Ethereal Conjurer or the Cabalist Tome? Kind of hard to say, honestly. I mean, Ethereal Conjurer does have a pretty weak body. But in any case, solid card. We'll have to see how it plays out going forward. Next up, we have the Ancient Harbinger, which is a 6-mana 4/6. So basically, you're paying 1 extra mana to get its effect. At the start of your turn, put a 10-cost minion from your deck into your hand. So it's kind of like Nat Pago card draw. The problem with this card is it has to survive for a turn for it to be anything more than a 4/6. The nice thing about this card is if your opponent doesn't have the minions to take it out on board, or they're an aggro deck and they'd have to trade a lot of their resources in to do it, then this card can bait removal, or bait a trade-in at the very least. Because if you're guaranteed to get a 10-cost card, and of course we'd be thinking cards like Deathwing and the Old Gods, that's something most people don't want you to get, because it's like at the start of your turn, that's turn 7. That means 3 more turns, and they're going to dump the Old God on you. So this is kind of a threatening card. In a similar vein as Emperor Tharzan. I don't know if it's more threatening, but it's definitely up there. Some people have been saying, like, oh, if you stealth this guy, Master of Disguise or Conceal, Control Rogue basically would be a thing, and, you know, it might be. I don't think Control Rogue is really that far off from being kind of a thing. The question is, you know, is it really so important to draw into your Old God so you can play it on turn 10? I think if this card would be run, it would be a one of, generally speaking. I mean, very, very, very few decks could afford to play 2 or 3 10-cost cards, maybe a Control Warrior. Speaking of that, the other problem is that if you have already drawn your 10-cost Cthulhu or your 10-cost Yisharj, which is the next card we're actually about to review, then this effect basically does nothing. But, I mean, they might remove it thinking that you have a second 10-cost card in your deck, or remove it thinking that you haven't drawn it yet. So that's also a possibility. I don't know if this card's actually viable enough. It really depends on how devastating it is to fish out that 10-cost card. Is playing an Old God on turn 10 necessarily going to be like, I win the game? And so far, I mean, they're powerful minions, sure, but are they dramatically stronger than like a Ysera or something like that? Kind of has yet to be seen. I'm not too convinced. So speaking of Yisharj, the third Old God that we're going to take a look at, 10 mana, 10/10. Pretty nice stats. Not as good as Deathwing's, which is kind of funny. So does that mean Deathwing is stronger than an Old God? I don't know. But anyway, at the end of your turn, put a minion from your deck into the battlefield. When I saw this card, I first thought, wow, that's like a bad Varian Wren. Varian Wren does 3 cards at once, and if it's a spell, it just goes back to your hand. And Varian Ren, I thought would be really OP. I really did. But it turned out to be basically be nigh unplayable. Like a couple decks tried it, but it never really made its way into the competitive scene. So that was kind of a disappointment. Um, but yeah, the charge. It's interesting in some ways because, well, let's see. At the end of your turn, put a minion from your deck into the battlefield. No, I was gonna say like you could play a high cost deck and then you're guaranteed to get like another Old God or a Deathwing out on the field, but not really. I think it would be much more interesting though if it said put the highest cost minion in your deck out onto the field. Now that would be a card. It's like summon a Deathwing when you play your charge. That would maybe be game-breakingly OP. Yeah, it really depends on what minions you have in your deck though. Is it going to be super value to bring them out? Are you going to be playing this in Warlock where you have Doom Guards, and then you don't have to pay the 2-card discard to use it? But overall, I just don't know. It's kind of like Confessor Paostress, 7 mana plus a hero power, and you summon a random legendary. But you know, a random legendary might even be better than the average card in your deck. I mean, that's why people play Elite Starseeker and Golden Monkey, isn't it? So, is this worse than Confessor Paostress? At first glance, it kind of seems to be, but I mean, given we still have 2/3 of the Old Gods set to review, so maybe there's something that makes this a little bit better than it initially seems. But for a 10 mana card, I'd be expecting more. I think I'd rather play Ysera, honestly, as a 9 mana minion, or even Arch Thief Rafam, for instance, or heck, maybe even a Nefarian. I don't know if Nefarian's better. But yeah, you get the idea. The Old Gods, as alone, they seem kind of underwhelming. Now, Cthulhu might be better, because Cthulhu has those synergy cards, like the Ancient Shield Bearer, where if Cthulhu's 10 attack or more, you gain 10 armor by playing that card, which is insane. Ancient Shield Bearer, Cthulhu Warrior, pretty nice. But yeah, is there going to be more cards that synergize with Usage? Who knows? We'll have to see. So tune in tomorrow and we'll be going over a couple more cards. Till then, see you guys. I've been Dark Skeleton. Peace.